Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I wanted to cover Mercado Libre. This is an e-commerce company that focuses in Latin America. They do both e-commerce and they do fintech down in Latin America. This is a really good idea. The addressable market in Latin America is very good for a couple of reasons. First, the whole GDP of Latin America is quite substantial. Second, the number of people, I guess the percentage of households that are using e-commerce is lower than in the United States. And therefore, there's a lot of fertile growth or organic growth that is going to occur in Latin America. The other wrinkle or opportunity is that we are in, at a minimum, some trade disputes with China and other countries. And these trade disputes, I don't think affect Mercado Libre. Mercado Libre is buying directly from China and other places and bringing their goods into those regions. Mexico, Brazil, Argentina being the biggest countries that they serve. So I think overall, Mercado Libre is in a good place, a good industry, in a growing economy, e-commerce, in a very good market that has a lot of runway and a lot of addressable market that this company can take over. That's the reason why I started investing in the stock. Now, is this a good stock to buy more of, hold, or sell? Well, I'd like to do a valuation on Mercado Libre. They announced their earnings yesterday after the market closed. I've got a new set of financials to update my valuation on Mercado Libre. For the last 30 days, the stock has sold off a little bit, reducing the stock price. And after hours, the stock did sell off quite substantially. It was down quite a bit in the after hours and presented a nice little opportunity because now the stock is up 2% as I speak the following day. So I'll go through, do a complete valuation on the business. I'll establish their fundamentals, where they're at. Are they growing their top line revenue, which is really important? Are they growing their free cash flow? What's the forecast of their revenue growth as well as the forecast for their cash flow and their profitability? I'll take all that information and put it into a valuation model and value the company based on the future free cash flows that I expect Mercado Libre is going to produce, as well as the future profits that they're going to produce as well. Now, every company, I establish a desirability, and that's just basically saying, is it a business that has a strong moat as well as great growth aspects to it? So I'll go through that as well. Let's get started on Mercado Libre. The earnings announced by Mercado Libre looked really good and had some trouble spots as well. What looked really good was their overall top line revenue. Revenues are growing 34%. That's really good. As they get bigger, it's going to be harder to keep the percentage as high as previously reported. Just the law of big numbers. As they get bigger, the percentage is going to continue to drop. So long as they continue to grow at these high rates, 34% is very good growth on a large business. The fintech business is smaller than the e-commerce business, and it's growing faster, providing a new catalyst of growth for Mercado Libre. I found that to be more positive news about their earnings. Where investors felt the company didn't produce enough of was profit. The net income margin did go down, and the reason for it, they have a competitive advantage, or I should say something that consumers really like, which is free shipping. And that ended up costing them quite a bit and reduced margins. That does make Mercado Libre different in the region, and it enables them to continue to grow. And I'd rather have high growth along with free cash flow, and the net income is not as important as the overall growth and free cash flow. So I wasn't overly concerned with that number, and I bought a share last night in after hours when it was discounted, and that proved to be a good idea because now I'm up about 6-7% on that share. So overall, I thought the earnings were really good. I went through, looked at their income statement. Other than their profitability going down, the other pieces look good. Mercado Libre is still in an expansion. They're expanding their business. They're focused on being the number one largest scale business down there. They are already number one in Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, and Colombia. And they want to continue to expand so that they can put a lot of space between them and other players like Amazon and others. So overall, I thought the earnings were positive, and I'll update my valuation using the information I got from their financials. The company is a $121 billion market cap company. They have $22 billion in revenue, so you're paying about, call it 6 times revenue for an growing e-commerce business. Their PE looks a little high, 59, but when you look at the growth of 34% in the last quarter, I think it's rational. You're going to pay a higher PE for a higher growth company. Analysts think it's a strong buy and that it's discounted by 11%. I'll share with you what I think the stock is worth and what the discount or premium on the stock currently is for the stock. Looking at the last year, the stock is up 37%, and it's provided really good points to buy into the stock. Most recently in April, but in 2024, December 19th, geez, the stock was down to $1,666. So that would have been a really nice pickup. I've been buying on these dips. I like volatile stocks. They give me an opportunity to buy the stock at really good prices. And over the last several months, the stock really hasn't gone anywhere. Since establishing its all-time or near its all-time high of 25.86, it's pretty much traded sideways. So I think investors were waiting to see what their next earnings was going to tell us, and we've got it. So what's the stock going to do now is the big question. As mentioned, the revenue, this type of revenue growth is excellent. And the linear fashion by which that revenue is growing is really good. When you see data like this, it's nice and smooth, very good. I really trust that they're going to continue to grow at this trajectory and be that big, massive company like Amazon is in the United States. It will be the Amazon of Latin America. Along with the revenue growth, the free cash flow has really expanded as well. So free cash flow has expanded nicely and it's really become a big number. And that big number creates a lot of value in the form of market cap. So two excellent characteristics of this business. The gross margin has come down a little bit, but so long as they continue to establish that big scale and get customers acquired, they become the dominant company and have the most powerful network in Latin America. They'll be able to get gross margins up in the future. For now, I would completely support them. Just continue to grow and don't worry about margins for now. Worry about capturing market share and establishing Mercado Libre as a number one player with a big distance from number two. Free cash flow margins are excellent. That's always been good. Or I should say for the last few years, it's been excellent. And profit margins are there. This is a e-commerce business, so it's not going to be like a tech business that makes 90% gross margins and big profit margins. But overall, the scale is going to deliver a lot of free cash and it makes them very valuable. The forecast, what are analysts thinking of Mercado Libre? 17 analysts cover the stock. And we've got opinions that say the stock could go up to $3,500 per share. And worst case scenario, $2,100. The downside risk isn't all that bad. Their fundamentals are strong enough to even make the biggest bear price the stock fairly close to where it's trading. On average, the consensus is that the stock's discounted by 11%. When we look at a forecast, they're going to keep growing and they're going to be close to a $50 billion revenue company by the end of 2028. That's excellent. The growth looks great. They're just going to keep growing. Look at that earnings per share. It's going to expand faster than the revenue growth. Those numbers look fantastic. And their PE, assuming the stock price stays at the same level, is really going to drop. I doubt that. I think the stock price is going to continue to rise. These fundamentals look really, really good. And I'll update my free cash flow forecast as well as my earnings per share forecast with these numbers. I believe Mercado Libre has a lot of things to be desired as a business. They rank very high in my desirability quadrants. They're completely in the green. For a company in the green, I'm willing to pay fair price. And a company like Mercado Libre has a lot of attractive aspects to it. First, I'm mainly invested in the US. With Mercado Libre, I can diversify and invest in the Latin American economy. That would be positive from a diversification perspective. Two, the growth aspects for e-commerce in Latin America are terrific. They have a higher rate of addressable market. If you measure the penetration that e-commerce has had on households in Latin America, it's far lower than the US. So I think they can really grow longer in Latin America at higher rates. Last, I think culturally, things are very different in Latin America. In the US, we have our cultural norms, and those really are set up, or I should say, followed by Amazon. Amazon's the dominant player in the US. But Mercado Libre probably does a better job of having a catalog that really serves their clientele better. They also have a better sense of how to do business in these countries and set up their business to have a more effective network in Latin America. All those things are positive. I'm really believing that this company can dominate in the Latin American region. Their revenue is growing at a fantastic rate. Their profitability did have a step back this quarter, so I gave them a B grade there. But free cash flow is excellent from Mercado Libre, and it continues to grow very nicely. So I put them in the green. I think it's a terrific company with a strong moat, mainly because of their regional and ability to serve that clientele, their network power that they're establishing in Latin America, which extends now to their fintech business. Their high growth and free cash flow is really, really good. So I'm willing to pay a fair price for Mercado Libre. Next, I'll do a valuation on the company. So I think Mercado Libre is offering, the stock price is offering a 24% discount. If I were to calculate the value of Mercado Libre based on free cash flows, I believe the stock is worth 25% more than it's currently priced at because the free cash flows continue to grow at a really nice rate. I'm growing them by 12%. They're probably going to beat this forecast, but I like to be conservative. And I'm discounting the cash flows by 10%, which is much higher than what I would use for Amazon. Amazon, I would use an 8% discount rate. Here I'm using 10%, which will give me a higher rate of return because I'm taking a higher risk. Their balance sheet is good with more cash than debt. So overall, 25% discount available based on free cash flows. The earnings per share as well provide a nice discount of 23% using a PE of 36, which is, I think they deserve it since they have high growth, and then a growth rate of 25%, which they'll likely do better than 25%. But again, I want to be a little conservative. So overall, a 24% discount is compelling. I'd like to buy more shares of Mercado Libre and build up a position. Amazon is a substantial position in my portfolio. I'm currently adding on Amazon, and I'm going to add on Mercado Libre. I also own Alibaba. So I've got the US covered for e-commerce as well as other things with Amazon, Latin America with Mercado Libre, China and Asia with Alibaba. E-commerce goes without saying is really the now and the future. We do a lot of buying, a lot of commerce using Amazon, and people in Latin America use Mercado Libre, and folks in China use Alibaba. That market's just going to continue to grow, get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really convenient. You can buy goods at better prices, probably do better research as well. So the future is bright for Mercado Libre, and I'd like to own more shares in the near future and see my stock price hopefully go up. So that's my review of Mercado Libre. Thank you for watching the video on Mercado Libre. I hope you found my research interesting. I wanted to tell you about a paid member program that I have with this YouTube channel, and it provides really nice perks to those that get signed up. For example, you get to see member-only videos that I'm producing each week. I produce several videos per week that are just for members with some insight on stocks as well as sharing what I'm doing and so forth. We also get invited to member calls where we talk about stocks, investing topics, and we've had really good calls, and I think it really enables everybody who attends to grow their investing knowledge and their skills. You get invited to a Discord server where you get to see actively each day what investors are doing, and we have a Discord on stocks and investing topics and news that is affecting the stock market. And last, on live streams, if you're a member, you can nominate tickers through the chat, and I'll do deep dives on those nominations that members provide. So I think it's a really neat program. We've had a lot of people sign up recently. It's been great to have many members join, and the calls have been terrific. To get more details, visit the home screen of my channel and click the join button, and you'll see the 3 different options. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your investments.